All right, Jim. I see that beautiful stadium behind you, which is awesome because it's football, and we get to talk more football because more football for me and Brent is fantastic. But I also see that toboggan on your lid, and I hear there's some snow down there. So I want to know the weather forecast down there for the Senior Bowl.
Well, good to be on with you guys. Yeah, it was a historic weather event here in Mobile this week. We had 7 inches of snow, broke the all-time record from 1895. So when you're breaking records from horse and buggy days, that's a big deal. Um, so it is. Thank God, thank God we've Mother Nature has helped us out. We don't have plows down here. We don't have sand trucks down here. So we've had some nice weather, and really my biggest concern was, can we paint the field and take care of our sponsors, which I know you guys can appreciate. And
Oh yeah,
thank God we're able to do that.
yeah. No, Jim, that's cool. Go ahead, Brent.
I was going to say, so in terms of everything looking forward to this week, like one, how was your blood pressure with all the snow? But two, everything's sort of good to go, set up now, good for the game this week, or practice and then the game?
It's good, man. I mean, we lost 2 full days in the office as a staff, and we don't have a huge staff. There's only 10 of us in the office. So in this time of year, especially, like, we're all wearing different hats, and it's a very collaborative process to, get this thing done. Like right now, we're moving the equipment out to the stadium today. That would have been done, a couple of days ago. So it put us behind a little bit, but we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. We've got a great staff. Everyone's been working hard. We've had the same group together for a number of years now, so everyone knows what to do. But yeah, just being away was difficult for a couple of days this week.
Well, the current hat you're wearing is a beanie because it's cold. But when you're talking about like the expansion process of the playoffs and now more rounds, like how did that affect the Senior Bowl, man? Like guys that are like they played like 6 days ago. Like how did that affect you guys?
Yeah, it did affect us. We thought it would. We hoped it wouldn't, but thought it would, I guess is the best way to say it. We had this same turnaround window back in 2019 when the Joe Burrow team, when they played Clemson. And between those two teams, I think we had 8 guys, play on Monday and show up in Mobile on Sunday. I think we had 8 guys, and I think 4 of them were top 100 picks. So, but the difference was that was those teams' 13th game, not their 16th game. So as you guys know, from a player's perspective, I mean, 3 more games of pounding 3 straight weeks. I mean, these guys basically just played an old NFL season, 16 games. So we lost all the Ohio State guys. That was a bummer. We got 3 Notre Dame guys coming. We lost a couple Penn State guys. So yeah, unfortunately, we're not represented by those teams. I mean, they should be here. And really, the players are the ones that suffer. Like talking to Jack Sawyer this week, he really wanted to be here. Talking to Will Howard, like Will Howard knew as good a playoff run as Will Howard had, he knew that this would have been a great forum for him, right? Like he's a really good leader. He connects with teammates, all the stuff the NFL decision makers want to see from our quarterbacks. So it's really not fair to them. So I'll be curious to see if college football, adjust their schedule a little bit. I know this week there was some talk about because of TV ratings, and I think we all know that drives the bus. And I don't know, maybe it's one year's maybe not the right sample size to make a knee-jerk reaction to this, but I think we're also talk to the NFL in the offseason as well and see if we push back, then maybe the combine pushes back, but we can't push back unless the combine pushes back because these guys still need a time frame between the Senior Bowl and the combine to get ready to do that. So it's interesting. It's certainly a new dynamic, but we always got to be able to adjust.
What do you think is best in terms of schedule wise to keep all of it together as one maybe cohesive unit from college to the NFL?
Yeah, I think the college thing could be done a little sooner. I know I've read a lot of things online where it's been floated. How cool would it be if the championship game were the Rose Bowl every year? I saw that a couple of times on social media this week, and you ended it on January 1st. I don't know, if you just don't take any time off from the regular season and play. But I do know this from like an NFL standpoint, being in draft rooms for almost a couple decades, that month of April, man, it is like Hayes in the barn time. Like you go in and you're in the office every day, all day for the entire month of April. And you get to like the middle of the month and you're like, okay, let's do this. Like we've seen all these guys, we've met all these guys, we have the medical stuff. so you get a little antsy. So there is some wiggle room. I feel like if we moved back to the middle of February and the combine moved back to the middle of March, and then you had pro days going until the middle of April, and then you had like 2 more weeks to go back in the office and digest, the spring process, I think that would be enough. So, but we'll see. I mean, I'm sure those conversations are going to be had this offseason.
So that leads me to a great discussion with your history, and obviously Jim Nagy joined us from the executive director of the Senior Bowl. You talked about being in draft rooms. So when you look at your history as a scout, you were with the Patriots in the early 2000s there, and there was this guy who was a high motor player from Georgia. What did you this Pollack guy that ended up going in the first round of the Bengals? What was your draft take there? Was that in your scouting report back in the day?
I do remember the conversations about David because we drew a lot of parallels to one of the best players on our team, and that was Teddy Bruschi. We just felt like they were similar guys. So yeah, we really like David. I mean, we look for versatile football players and smart football players. That's the one thing. I mean, like I worked in New England, I worked in Seattle. We valued different things, at the different places. But, when I look back on my Patriot time, we really, smart football players and versatile football players. That's what we stressed. And that was David, man. He could get to the quarterback from a lot of different alignments. He had he was kind of a tweener, but, we saw tweener as a good thing. Teddy was a tweener, and he's one of the all-time greatest Patriots ever, So, yeah, I can't remember what grade we had on David, but we certainly spent a lot of time talking about him, and we liked him.
Hey, I'll take the Teddy Bruschi comparison any day. That's a great comparison. Thank you. Yeah.
Jim, that's a compliment.
Heck yeah, it is. This process, like the Senior Bowl process, like how do you get guys here? What do you look at? Why does the Senior Bowl exist?
Well, it's a great platform. It has been. I mean, we're going on year 76 here in Mobile, so it's been here a long time. It's been the game that the NFL has always been the most invested in. We've had the coaching staffs, the NFL guys coaching our players for this whole time. And we had full coaching staffs up until a couple years ago. Now we've got a new format. We have a collection of younger coaches from non-playoff teams, which is a really cool developmental opportunity for those guys. But no, the biggest thing is, I say this all the time, I'm not trying to disparage, scouts, because that was me forever. But, the difference between the Senior Bowl and when you were playing at Georgia, was there a lot of foot traffic through Georgia? 100%. Did you get seen by a ton of scouts? Absolutely. But the guys that didn't see you when you came out was most of the GMs and all of the head coaches. And the important thing is those are going to really be the guys making the picks in April. So, I tell all these players, that's a big deal, guys. I know if you went to an Alabama or a Michigan or Ohio State, you went out to practice every day and there were dudes with NFL logos on their chest, but it wasn't the guys that are going to be making the picks in April. And that's it. I think what gets lost is those guys are just normal people too, right? I mean, I think all of us, regardless of what we do in our lives, we want to surround ourselves with people we're familiar with. And for these head coaches and GMs, and they all come here, to be down on the practice field and see these guys compete, it's very powerful. It's very. I just know as a scout, it's a lot easier to sell a player in a draft room when the head coach and the GM have spent time around him as well.